All right. Hey guys, my name is Christiana Williams, and today we will be talking about youth sports psychology. So, to start off, we will be discussing three main topics, which is how does sports psychology fit in with youth sports? What are some external roles that can develop young athletes? And what are advantages and disadvantages of youth sports? Alright, so first off, how does sports psychology fit in with youth sports? Approximately 35 million young people participate in sports in the U.S. each year. Unfortunately, 35% of them choose to stop participating each year. Many of these young athletes drop out of sports because they didn't have a positive experience, and that can be because of coaches, because of their parents, because they just didn't fit in, or they weren't having any fun anymore. Most sport administrators do not have the background or training in sports psychology to assess their program's effectiveness. So maybe some coaches only coach one way, and not every way a child can learn from or a child will accept. Sports psychology professionals can play an important role in providing expertise to sport administrators with regard to developing and identifying assessment tools. So sports psychologists can play an important role. They can play an important role in helping out coaches so kids won't have bad experiences. Alright, so there are many models that exist within the sports psychology literature, but a majority of them only apply to the adult population. In Getting Down with the Kids, the authors got together athletes from the ages of 10 to 12 and did sports psychology sessions with them. They used the YSCM model, which is also known as the Youth Sport Counseling Model, that incorporates the planning, implementing, and evaluating steps required to deliver an effective sports psychology service to youth athletes. It includes 6 phases and incorporates 11 factors. The authors of Getting Down with the Kids really think that the YSCM model helped them a lot in their success of these exercises. Alright, so who helps develop young athletes? Obviously, coaches can develop young athletes because they're the ones who are teaching them, they're the ones who are telling them right from wrong, who's always there at practice, day in and day out. They're always there at games. They're either telling you what to do or what not to do. The parents also are playing a role in developing young athletes because they're the ones who are supporting you. They're the ones that are taking you to practice and taking you to games, always being there for you with games, and even introducing you to new sports. Peers also play a role. They usually are overlooked, but they definitely play a huge role. Think about if you played youth sports. Think about the teammates you had and how they impacted you. Maybe if you were a softball player while you were young, you wanted to hang out with your friends and play fall ball, play ball all year round, and all that. Okay, so as stated in the Developing Young Athletes article, leadership can be thought of as the art, the science of influencing others through credibility, capability, and commitment. I think coaches, parents, and peers, all three have credibility, capability, and commitment into developing young athletes and being their leader or their role model. Alright, so to start off, coaches have a strong influence and can develop life skills in young athletes in the area of leadership, intrinsic motivation, and decision making. They have a central role in athletics but influence can extend into other areas of an athlete's life. I know when I was younger, I always wanted to be like my coaches because they were awesome. They knew the game really well and they were really good at what they did. Coaches can influence behaviors athletically, psychologically, and socially. Their attitudes, actions, and values can shape the view of young kids, and coaches can sometimes be more of an influence than a kid's parents at that point in their life. I know for me, I wanted to be just like my coach, and I wanted to do everything like her when I was playing softball because she was a great pitcher, she was a great infielder, and she hit the ball really well, so I knew that's what I wanted to do. While sports psychology and its importance has become more prevalent over the years, it is still not accepted by the sporting world. Youth coaches, in particular, in the study of a coach's perspective, were not very fond of sports psychologists. The main barriers that coaches had were that they felt like there was no need for them, they had negative perceptions of them, and a lack of knowledge. So, of course, coaches think sports psychologists are probably shrinks and only crazy people need shrinks, but that's not the case. However, the coaches did believe that they could support the athletes in the same way that sports psychologists can, and therefore concluded sports psychology should be a priority. Although sports psychologists might have a better understanding and a better knowledge of how to treat athletes, coaches feel that sports psychology should be a priority in youth sports. Whether it's them being the sports psychologist or an actual sports psychologist. Alright, so now on to parents. They definitely have an important influence on their child's sport experiences. Their attitudes and behaviors can impact a child's behavior, thoughts, and feelings in the sport world. I know when I was younger, my mom and my dad were totally awesome. They were always there at games. They were always supporting me, even when we lost or I did horrible. They were always there supporting me and giving me a pat on the back. However, some kids or some young athletes might not have that support system. I know some parents are very hard on their kids from the moment they start playing t-ball, and that can definitely shape a negative attitude towards the sport itself. The parent-athlete relationship is probably the most important for the development of valuable life skills. In the article Conversations with Parents, they developed a parent workshop series. It was designed from a collaborative language perspective, a postmodern approach to counseling psychology that highlights the importance of conversation and client expertise for achieving beneficial therapeutic outcomes. So they made this workshop for parents, and it was pretty much how to be there for your young athlete, to talk to them even when they had a really bad game and they're already upset at themselves. It was just a good workshop for parents to go ahead and support their kids. Okay, so now on to advantages of youth sports. Playing sports while young can provide a good environment for positive youth development. I know for me, I played softball up until my high school years, and I definitely believe that playing softball definitely was a good environment for my positive youth development, and I gained a lot of skills and a lot of self-esteem from that. According to the American Alliance for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance, young people who play sports are likely to experience physical, psychological, academic, and social benefits. They can gain self-esteem, social skills, learn about teamwork, and develop leadership skills. For me, that was all true. I developed a lot of self-esteem, I developed social skills, and I learned about teamwork that's helping me now in college, and I definitely learned leadership skills. Kids can also gain friendships from people of all backgrounds and cultures. So this is a great thing because you experience kids from all kinds of ethnicities and backgrounds and cultures that you probably would not in your area. or because you're not experiencing other kids. Alright, so some disadvantages of playing youth sports could be a bad environment, whether it's the coaches, the teammates, the parents. I know I did have one bad coach in my youth sports, but that didn't affect me too much. I just changed teams, and some kids do the same, but sometimes it can really have a negative effect on kids and change their whole outlook and not want them to play at all anymore. Playing year round can definitely be a disadvantage because when you're young, you're just wanting to have fun, and I feel like that's just taking all the fun out of the sports. You're playing baseball all year round, but maybe your friends are playing soccer in the fall and you're playing baseball. So you're just not having as much fun as other kids, and you're not getting experience and versatility from playing other sports, and you're not getting a break, so that can definitely burn someone out. Parental pressure is a big disadvantage in the society we live in nowadays. Parents want their kids to be Olympic swimmers, to be MLB stars, to be the next NFL draft first pick, and sometimes it won't happen, most likely, but they're kids. They just want to have fun, and I feel like that's a negative route to go down, especially because it can definitely hinder somebody's experience. Sometimes too much organization within the sports society or youth sports can take away from the fun also. Kids need organization, but they also need to be kids. They need to have fun. They need to go out and play with their friends and burn off some of that extra energy that they do have. Alright, so in conclusion, sports psychology fits well with youth sports. Though its importance has become more prevalent over the years, it's still not accepted. It's not accepted by coaches and maybe some parents just because they're misinformed or they're not very knowledgeable of sports psychology as a whole, and because they just think that sports psychologists are shrinks and only crazy kids need shrinks. But in reality, everyone can gain anything from sports psychology. While a lot of literature is only on adult population, it is needed in the youth as well. Sports psychology in the youth definitely focuses more on development and social skills because that's the age that they develop all their life skills, their teamwork, their social skills, and all that. Youth sports can be important to developing a younger athlete, and he or she can carry those lessons learned into adulthood. I know for me, I definitely carried a lot of things into my adulthood. I played softball, I played basketball for a little bit, volleyball, and I just feel like it shaped my whole outlook on life. I'm very teachable, and I feel like that's because I was put in so many different sports, and I'm very disciplined, and I have the will and the want to do anything I set my mind to. Kids can take anything that they learn from being in sports and bringing that into adulthood, and future employers definitely love kids who play sports because they feel like they are disciplined and they are trained to do any job that's put in front of them.